Hey there, friends on YouTube. My name is Jason. This is Painfully Honest Tech. Tech so honest it hurts. Thank you so much for being here. Today we are going to talk about everything that's wrong with the iPhone 11, 11 Pro, and 11 Pro Max. The companion everything right about the iPhone 11, etc. video is linked at the end of this video and down in the description below. So please go check that out at the end of this video to get the full effect. First, let's talk about everything wrong with the iPhone 11. We'll start out with an easy one, the colors. I mean, colors come down to personal preference, but I'm not really a big pastel guy, and I feel like it has all the pastel colors are the new colors. The more solid colors are the old colors, and I would have liked to have had an option for people who didn't like pastel. Next off, we got to talk about that screen. I've gone on record saying, that in general, the 10R and the 11, since it's the same screen, I use the iPhone 10R all year this year, and I've got no problems with the screen. But let's be honest. If you're spending $700 on a phone when the competition can give you a better screen for less money, then why should you have to settle for less screen? Now, Apple will tell you, and people who will defend Apple, myself included at times, that Apple makes really good screens. They really know what they're doing, and even though it's not 1080p, it's a great looking screen. However, if you're somebody who wants the best, the iPhone 11 is not the best when it comes to the screen. That's all there is to say about it. Next off, let's move to build and design. This phone, the iPhone 11, is made of aluminum, while the iPhone 11 Pro and Pro Max are made of stainless steel and glass. This phone has a glossy glass back on the iPhone 11, where it's a matte finish on the iPhone 11 Pro and Pro Max. I think that would be nice for grip, while this one is, again, going to be sort of a slippery, fingerprint magnet-y, kind of gross thing, the camera. They improved the camera over the iPhone XR by giving us two lenses, but they didn't give us the third lens that's on the Pro phones. It's hard to say if this is really a negative other than its omission. The iPhone 11 Pro and Pro Max have a third telephoto lens that takes great up-close pics and gives you like 2x zoom so you don't have to zoom with your feet. It's up to you whether or not you think that that's a problem. Next up, we got 64 gigabytes of storage. I've gone on record as saying I have this XS and it's plenty of storage for me, but at the same time, Apple has cheaped out historically on this. They stayed with 16 gigabytes of storage for way too long. Then they stayed with 32 gigabytes of storage way too long. And now they've stayed with 64 gigabytes at least one cycle too long. That's the end of the iPhone 11. I'm sure I've missed something, and you're going to let me know down in the comments below and any more negatives about the iPhone 11. But right now we're going to switch over to the iPhone 11 Pro and the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Now, the list here might be shorter, but the complaints might be longer. You definitely get more for your money with the iPhone 11 Pro and Pro Max, but you're definitely paying a lot more money in general, and that's a negative. $999 for the Pro, $1,099 for the Pro Max, with 64 gigabytes of storage. Not so great. But let's get into the meat of this. First off, we really got to talk about this Pro name. Yes, we've all covered the fact that it's marketing. There's not really anything that makes this phone any more pro than last year's iPhone. The improved camera and battery life are great, but a pro device from Apple, at least how they describe it, seems to mean a phone for the creative professional. As many have said, iOS 13 lacks file management, while iPadOS has it. There's the lack of real multitasking, the difficulty in using phones with other non-Apple devices and video formats and everything else. Getting things on and off of the iPhone is really difficult. My friend Juan Carlos Bagnell has a great video and blog post where he tries to use an iPhone in a pro workflow and fails while he succeeds with his Android phones. I'll link it below. It's food for thought. We also got to talk about the lack of USB-C. Apple was the first to USB-C all of the things, but now they stick with the proprietary Lightning cable once again. And yes, this is just to make money. Apple makes a lot of money licensing that Lightning connector. And so they're not going to give that up until they absolutely have to. And it can't be a Painfully Honest Tech video if we don't talk about the headphone jack. The lack of the headphone jack, for my money, is really one of the huge things that keeps this from even having a chance of being a pro phone. A Pro device offers the user flexibility and ease of use, and ports that are still in use in almost every other application out there. And the 3.5mm jack is one of those ports. If you work exclusively in the Apple ecosystem, the iPhone can be an incredibly useful tool, even a pro tool. But Apple didn't call the iPhone 11 Pro and Pro Max Pro because there were professional content creators out there clamoring for a Pro version of the phone, and if they were, this wouldn't be what they wanted. I have a dream of what a real iPhone Pro would be, and it looks more like an iPad Pro does now, with USB-C and maybe a headphone jack. It would have the ability to work cross-platform and replace almost all the other devices that I use, if necessary. Also, it's fair to complain that this is a placeholder phone for next year's rumored redesign of the iPhone. Most of the changes here are small, and if you have last year's iPhone, you can easily skip this one unless those camera changes, that extra camera lens and the new features are make or break for you, but for most people, I don't think they will be. No one is going to buy the iPhone 11 Pro or 11 Pro Max because it will replace their Pro gear. It's a marketing ploy, and a good one at that, because they found a way to differentiate this year's phones from last year's phones without really changing all that much. And in the end, we got to get down to the design. There's a lot to like. I like more than I thought I would. Even the camera hump looks better than I feared, even though it is, yes, still ugly. And it's still a design choice that I think Steve Jobs would have kicked out of the very first design meeting if he were still alive and still working with the Apple folks. Build quality, I love the way that the phone looks overall. I hate the camera hump, yes, but making a Pro phone out of glass is just silly. Of course, the OnePlus 7 Pro is made out of glass, and it's not a Pro device either, so, I mean, maybe we've set a precedent here. The phones that are most Pro in the 2019 market, the LG V50 and the Note 10 Plus, don't even call themselves Pro. Maybe that's something we should discuss. But let's be honest. You don't buy an iPhone because it lives up to all the marketing fluff that Apple throws around when they introduce these new phones. At the end of the day, it's an iPhone, for better or worse. And that, to me, is what Apple got wrong about the iPhone 11, 11 Pro, 11 Pro Max. If you want to know what Apple got right, in my opinion, be sure to check out this video wherever it is and hear my thoughts on that subject. Otherwise, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. Once again, my name is Jason, and this is Painfully Honest Tech. Tech so honest it hurts. Until the next time, I'm out.